Is up, everybody? My name is Logan, and I am on a mission to implement decentralized governance into the fabric of society. And today I'm here with Justin. Justin, what's up, man? How's it going?
What's up, everybody? Good to be back on one of these. It's been a little bit since we've hopped on a live here.
Yeah, been a little bit, but a ton of cool things to talk about it. We'll try to get it through it efficiently for our audience. But the first thing to chat about is the Cardano Builder DAO, which is a huge project that Clarity has undertaken in recent months. And the first round went pretty seamlessly. We were able to gather around 40 builders, have a decentralized governance process operating completely transparently that culminated in a Clarity DAO treasury withdrawal where about 5 million ADA was distributed via smart contracts, via community-wide vote that automatically executed and sent funding to 20 different companies at the same time, 20 different builders on Cardano at the same time. So pretty exciting stuff. So yeah, Justin, like I guess first question for you would just be, how's the Cardano Builder DAO gone from your vantage point from a Clarity perspective?
Yeah, I think that's definitely one of the good things as the Clarity team being the ones kind of carrying this out is this is obviously a very in public testing of our infrastructure to show how it holds up and can facilitate these kinds of decisions. I think that this is an absolute killer use case for a DAO. You know, we have this collective funds that we all want to oversee and govern together. It doesn't necessarily make sense for any one group of us to actually custody these funds over another group. So using an actual Clarity DAO treasury here made a ton of sense. And I think it's super cool to see, 5, 6 million ADA flow into that treasury. Governance happen between these vetted projects, and the output is, 20 projects getting funded for different initiatives that they have for Cardano KPI. So honestly, like a very proud moment in the Clarity platform, and just seeing how it's actually making a difference in the Cardano ecosystem.
Yeah, for sure. And I think a big point to just double tap on there is the KPI point. So all of these projects went through and got funding for specific proposals, which you can read about. And I'll share screen here to start chatting about this. But there's also a dashboard. So all of these funded projects can be held accountable for the KPIs they have committed to. So the community can transparently track these KPIs. One thing that I think is a common question and probably gets the most negative activity on Twitter when it regards to the CBDAO is membership. So I just wanted to have a moment here to talk about the membership of the CBDAO. So how it works is we have a processes and procedures document that outlines specific requirements to become a requesting member, a voting member of the DAO. And these are laid out. So you have to be a product on Cardano that's producing some sort of on-chain activity and KPIs you can measure. You get automatically in if you have a closed out catalyst proposal. These types of things, they're clearly outlined. So we had spread the word as much as we could. We got 40 builders to join for the first round. There's over 20 companies that have requested to be in after the first deadline. So the board is going through those applications to certify those requirements, also with our third-party auditor, and then those projects will be let in. In order to request to become a member, you just go to buildingoncardano.io, and what you can do is click this button that says inquire about joining, and then just answer these simple questions so that we can get information to start the process of getting you in the DAO. The DAO has requirements to be a part of it, but it is open to verified builders in the community. So if you do read the document and you fit the requirements, please do apply, and we will go through. We have a lot to go through, so thank you to all the builders that have submitted interest. we will get you in the DAO soon. We just got through the hectic period of the first governance process. So getting this decentralized governance process off the ground and through its first iteration. And now we're looking towards the second one. So that leads me to the next thing do you have any comments on membership, Justin?
Yeah, I mean, just a message to anybody that is waiting to get into the DAO. Obviously, we do understand that we want this to be as open of a process as possible. The reason why we have to have these membership windows, as we've stated before, is just because at a certain point we have to set governance thresholds to execute these proposals, so to distribute funds. So at a certain point, we have to say this is how many people are in the DAO. We have to reach this threshold to pass funding, and then it can be opened again for future rounds. So that's kind of the cadence that we'll be going at. And yeah, obviously on our end, we're doing everything that we can to get the word out there. But obviously, this is being created as we go, so we don't necessarily have a huge existing platform that we can reach every single project through. So yeah, the more that we can amplify this message to new and incoming builders or anybody not involved in the builder DAO, definitely please help us out. And thank you for understanding kind of where we're at with that. And then just as far as different disclosures that you need to make, that's also stuff that we're kind of ironing out. So hopefully that onboarding process for a new project, getting involved in the Builder DAO is super clear, and you know exactly what kind of information you'll need to disclose to the DAO, and all of that can go off without a hitch.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry if there were some Wi-Fi issues there. But yeah, if you're a builder, it is open, and we are going through new applications now. We have to have a set amount as the CB DAO in order to set the smart contract thresholds to actually distribute the funds, and set the quorums for the governance period. So here we are. We actually ended up having 56 governance actions throughout the course of this first governance process. And what we're seeing, and we can just kind of go through them. So we first voted on the CB DAO board structure. So we had an election, which is up here, to decide the makeup of the board. Will it be 3 people, 5 people, 7 people? And then we had a whole slew of governance actions for builders that didn't satisfy, having a closed out Cardano or Catalyst proposal. But they still were builders that had products with functioning products with KPIs. So we voted on Big Blimp, Grabbit, Bodega, Iagon on whether they should be members. And if you click in, you can see the results of each vote. So yeah, like Bodega got in, and there's a handful of others as well. So moving on from that, we had more governance actions, including the board election. So you can see the results of that, who got voted in. We actually ended up having a runoff election because there was a tie. And then we moved into the actual, we had the code of conduct approval. So the DAO came together to create a code of conduct so that we could uphold the standards of the DAO in terms of participation and what it means to actually participate in governance. So like there's things like, you have to at least acknowledge the content of each proposal and provide feedback on it. So what you'll see as I click into these other proposals, so we went into the treasury withdrawals. So like tap tools here. You can come in here, you can open their application, and you can see each discussion thread has tons of feedback and responses, and it's really active governance from members across the board. So that's something we're really proud of, and something we think the code of conduct contributed to as well, was how active we were. I think we ended up having like a 83% participation rate across governance actions. We also had a few amendments that came through, which is interesting. And I think this is the high level point to be made here is that we are constantly evolving as a DAO. we have created a governance system that has been effective through one round, but we need to keep improving it. So for example, we have this amendment to processes and procedures, our document that governs how the DAO works. And this was an appeal process for board decisions. So what this implemented was actually, it gave the power to the board to suspend or remove members from the DAO for code of conduct or actions deemed in direct violation of our governing documents. But any member that gets flagged by the board for this can have an appeal. So the power is always within the DAO's hands, but the board can still have their part in upholding standards. So Justin, what do you think about the evolving governance process for the CB DAO? And in particular, if you have any comments about this appeal process?
Yeah, I think in general just shows what a DAO is all about. We're not like these traditional organizational structures where the community can have their own opinions and maybe voice them on Twitter, but not really have a super responsive organization. I think that this shows exactly, one of the members has an idea for a way that the DAO can operate better, and people can from a grassroots level, get behind and support that idea, and it changes how the DAO operates. Like that's exactly the promise of a DAO, and it's really cool to see that being implemented here. So I think that this just shows, how we operate differently in this, new organizational structure, and hopefully this makes people who are on their way into the DAO in this next round excited to get involved in these distributed decision-making mechanisms.
Yep, absolutely. So to close the circle on the whole governance process here, we had the treasury withdrawal checks for each company, and you can come in, you can see the results. You had to get more positive votes than negative votes in order to be considered passing. And then what happens is all of the approved proposals culminated in a multi-output treasury withdrawal, which is executed on chain. So you have to cast your vote on chain, and you have to, and what happened is this executed, there was ADA in the treasury, and you can see all of these different projects receive these to their unique addresses. And now that they have this funding, they have to deliver on their KPIs. So that's what's happened with the Cardano Builder DAO. It's been a really proud project for Clarity. It's something that we were a big part of from 0 to 1, and we're going to continue to make sure that Cardano builders are taken care of. And I think this also goes into our work as a DREP as well, because look, we're a DREP because we want to make sure that Cardano builders are taken care of, because we see Cardano builders as the keys to driving more usage, to getting more action on chain, to bringing in liquidity in the ecosystem, to bringing in TVL in the ecosystem. We have to have a handful of companies that take off. And look, if in this first round of the Cardano Builder DAO, we see growth, major growth of 2 or 3 or 4 of these funded companies, I think it's really effective, and hopefully we see even more. Yeah, Justin, comments on just kind of putting a bow on the Builder DAO?
Yeah, I think it's just really awesome to see everything culminate in that single transaction on chain, and just really kind of that being the capstone of the last 6 months, year of work behind the scenes to get all these projects funded. So beyond proud of the work that we've done ourselves and in the DAO as a whole to get to this point.
Yep. There's a few comments from Free Stables on X. He says, here is to individual DAOs like CB DAO proving out the governance structure and its ability to decentralize funding and representation. Absolutely, that's what it's all about. He also has a question. Will there be a specific number of new members, or will it be open? It is open. We're planning on setting the deadline to join around probably the end of the year. We will officially state that on the Twitter, but that will give us time to go through everyone, make sure they have a registered entity. This entity has been involved with their Catalyst proposal. There's a lot of different nuanced little checks you have to do in order to keep the standard and stay compliant. And then another good question. Can the current recipients write new proposals for future funding, or do they need to complete goals from the previous funding round first? So you have to come back with a new proposal every time. So you write a proposal about what you're going to do in the next 6 months, where you're going to get your KPIs to, and then in 6 months you have to come back to the social consensus layer that ultimately has the final say on where funds come from, and you put in your proposal, and the whole DAO is going to be able to see with this KPI dashboard, did you meet your KPIs? Did you not meet your KPIs? If you met them, I think you're a strong candidate to continue to get funded by the DAO. If you didn't, maybe you met one of them, but not all of them you're tracking. That it's up to interpretation for the social consensus there to say, okay, is this company actually growing and helping Cardano, or is it just a company that needs to stop getting funded by this DAO because we're trying to fund growth projects? And then he asked, what's the link for new member application? Go to buildingoncardano.io, buildingoncardano.io. This is what the website would look like. Then click this button that says inquire about joining. And yeah, so with that being said, now to focus more on clarity, we got funding from the Cardano Builder DAO. You can go read our proposal and dig into it there, but we're going to talk about what we're going to do with the funding right now. So pretty much, we want to improve our KPIs. That is our end goal. So the KPIs that we are tracking, let me pull it up here, are monthly active users, TVL, API requests, Agora DAOs created, and all-time organizations tracked. So we want to improve all these metrics. So how do we do that? Justin, I'll toss it to you to see, where your brain is on how we do that, and I'll chime in for sure.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing that we're excited about with what we're doing with this funding from a product side is to make an easy to use mobile app with some streamlined authentication. So a lot of this goes through what is being built over at Mesh right now, which is utxos.dev. So we're currently in the process of integrating with that. We learned about that over the summer from a presentation by Jingles, and just finished up some other product roadmap stuff that we had to knock out. So yeah, able to finally move on towards implementing this into our own product, which we're really excited about. But just to talk a little bit about what that does for anybody who's not familiar, it basically allows you to connect to dApps using traditional Web2 auth or a traditional Web3 auth. So basically, for any project or any user who's not a Web3 native user, if they just want to log in to your app with their Gmail or Face ID or whatever it is, you can set that up through this kind of wallet as a service. So that handles creating a wallet behind the scenes. That's a full SIP30 compliant wallet that the user can export their keys to create back it up in a traditional Cardano wallet if they really want to get under the hood. But really, this lets traditional users of Web2 applications hop into Web3 super seamlessly. So yeah, we're super excited about what these guys are building and excited to get it into our own application. And then really we're going to focus, once that's in there, on a mobile app. So yeah, integrating with things like Face ID, letting people super easily hop on and be casting votes in Cardano with a lot less friction than is required right now with just using traditional Web3 wallets. So we think that combination of things is really going to lower the barrier to entry to be using our governance tooling, and then we can go apply that to all these industries that we've been excited about for a really long time. Like I'm sure Logan can talk about, but HOAs or sports clubs, something like that, where before, at the end of the day, the hurdle was still, okay, now your whole neighborhood has to install a Web3 wallet before you can use our application. This completely removes that barrier. So it's something that we're really, really excited about.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, to talk about, you nailed the product side, right? Like we're trying to get frictionless, which is the word that UTXOs.dev uses. We're trying to get frictionless onboarding. And with that frictionless onboarding, you can go after these use cases that should be on blockchain um, without the technical barrier. And I know for us Web3 people, like downloading a wallet on your phone and then go into the in-wallet browser is like no big deal, but it is a big deal for most of the people. So one use case we're extremely excited about is HOAs, homeowners associations. These are DAOs at heart. They have antiquated systems. They use emails to confirm decisions, and there's always problems with governance. If you're in an HOA, you probably have experienced some where there's decisions being made and you feel like you don't have a voice. And what I've done is I've actually got elected to my HOA. So that's going to be a first little case study there. And then, it's a sales game. We have to show these property managers and these HOAs that this is a better home for their community. So we're going to be doing that. I also think a great use case for DAOs is sports organizations and organizing the distributed set of stakeholders in their fan base in a more effective and engaging manner, more rewarding manner. So I have a great network there that I'll be exploring as well. And when I think about scaling this and actually increasing these users on Cardano and getting more transactions on chain, you can think of, in an HOA, you might have 200 units in your neighborhood or in your building. It could be more, like thousands, but each time that you are able to onboard an HOA, you get hundreds of users that will be participating in governance on the Cardano blockchain. So I find that really exciting. The ability to make it frictionless with this stuff that Mesh and Jingles has built has been really cool. I want to shout out his presentation because as I watched it, I was like, wow, like this is exactly what we need. So really excited about this. I think, that's most of it. I know another part of our proposal is the SDK stuff. So this is kind of, in terms of, our compass, we think obviously Cardano native projects, they all need good governance, and Clarity provides the best governance you're able to get in an easy way. It won't take you as much money. You don't have to get smart contracts audits. So you can just jump right in. But one of the barriers there is that oftentimes these larger protocols and these companies, they want to have it baked into their own software. So they don't want to have to come to clarity.vote to hop into their DAO. They want it to be within their own platform, So one of the things to enable that is the SDK and the APIs. And Justin, I'll toss it over to you just to chat about that product.
Yeah, so earlier in the call, I mentioned that we were finishing up some other project roadmap stuff before we could begin integrating with the UTXOs.dev wallet thing that we were just getting all excited about. But yeah, to pull back the curtain a little bit more on that, that was a database revamp that should make opening our services on the back end up to other clients way more scalable. So we're super excited about that, and definitely a ton of work behind the scenes has been going into that. Maybe a little less flashy on the front end, but the plumbing of Clarity is definitely getting improved and getting accessible from, yeah, like Logan mentioned, beyond just clarity.vote. So super excited to integrate with specific clients for specific solutions that they might need. Other places where I think we're super excited about more use from the Clarity SDK and creating transactions is in things like third-party applications. So like Discord, things like that. We were just getting messages from somebody on the Indigo team saying how integrating with Discord could be useful. I think that that's something that, now that we have this more scalable SDK setup, that's exactly, use cases where that can be applied. And then obviously anything with AI agents, we're super excited about. So we've been working with Decimalist and the team at Fluxpoint, and yeah, getting integrated there. So he's got some cool, stuff going with synthesizing proposals and things like that. And I think if we could, continue integrating into the AI agent workflows, I think DAOs and voting as kind of like a consensus layer for these AI agents to be able to spend money and make money on the blockchain is super, super interesting. So, yeah, definitely from a product side, I think that it opens up kind of the use cases for how somebody can end up using Clarity under the hood.
Yeah, for sure. And then in terms of some on-chain upgrades that we hope to have in the near future, it's the ability to stake treasury assets and the ability for a DAO to actually be a DREP. So if it has ADA in the treasury, it will be able to vote as a collective. So those are exciting things that are coming in too. Another big update for Clarity is we have a new team member. I'll bring him on one of these lives maybe in the next few weeks. He started yesterday, and he is going to be our head of business development in South America, which is really exciting. We know as a team that South America has a strong crypto presence because unlike in North America, it's being adopted out of necessity in a lot of use cases. So we're really excited to help grow DAOs and Clarity in South America as well. So I think that's about it. Justin, any last words?
No, yeah, just excited to give this update, and especially excited to just have a moment to reflect on this successful round of the Cardano Builder DAO. And I think that, yeah, just want to amplify that and show that it's such a good use case for how DAOs can be used and how it's really making a difference in the Cardano ecosystem. So, yeah, super excited to revisit this in a couple months here, where we can look back at some of these KPIs and show the direct impact that this is having.
Yep. Yeah, so much to talk about there. I mean, how DAOs can be used to better manage public funds, I think, is a super important topic. We're starting off with this Builder DAO. I think there could be a definite DAO, a marketing DAO of some sort, where you have one side of the marketplace can be KOLs and Cardano, the other side can be companies or people driving adoption of Cardano to run marketing campaigns, and you can have the KOLs and that group of people have actually transparent, decentralized governance in a streamlined, somewhat centralized fashion, but still decentralized in the sense that it's completely on chain and it has more than 2, 3, 4, 5 stakeholders. So yeah, guys, Clarity. I know we haven't done a live in a while, but we are constantly working. We are really proud about the Cardano Builder DAO. We think it's a great example of how to manage Cardano public funds for the Cardano ecosystem. Really happy to be reflecting on it and also thinking about what's next for the next governance round. I'm actually preparing a retrospective from my standpoint that I'll put out as a blog post the next few weeks here. I don't want to rush it because I want to make sure I get all my thoughts on there. And then, yeah, we're going to have a mobile application soon. We're going to be hitting the ground hard, selling to these use cases, which are unlocked because of this frictionless onboarding. So shout out to utxos.dev once again. And yeah, those APIs and those SDKs, they're rocking. They're open to use. If you're interested in using them, you can reach out to us. And look, if you're just a Cardano community member that wants to chat about DAOs and how to grow this thing, we're always happy to chat. You can find us in our Discord. You can DM us on Twitter, whatever it is. If you're a property manager or you're on the board of an HOA, if you're in a sports marketing role, like these are all people we collaborate with all the time. And we'd love to hear from you. So thank you, everybody. If you didn't know, my name is Logan, and I am on a mission to implement decentralized governance into the fabric of society. See you guys next time.